Good morning. Welcome, everybody. SF Live, episode number 64. I'm joined by Jessome in a few short seconds. He's the president and CEO of Silver Tigre Metals. But before we get started, as always, quick reminder, use hashtag AskSLVR, that's the company's ticker, for your questions during our live stream. We'll get to those at the end of our conversation with Glenn. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our Twitter channel, hit the follow button, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, follow us on Instagram and Spotify as well for your commutes. They're getting longer again. Make sure you sign up to a good podcast while you commute. Now, let me switch over to Mr. Glenn Jessome. He is the president and CEO of Silver Tigre Metals. Glenn, how are you doing today? How are things?
Doing very well here in Halifax.
Fantastic. It's great to have you back. Great to chat with you again, actually. We've known each other for a good number of years, and we sort of lost sight of each other for a little bit. We bumped into each other in November in San Fran, but things went quiet again. The market wasn't just ready, and you're back. Give us an update. What happened the last 12, 24 months, actually? You put out a resource in September 17. After that, everything went really quiet.
Well, for those that basically just, I think, a little bit to the history of what we've acquired here. We acquired the public company, Tigre Silver. We targeted that company because of the asset we had. And it's a large land package in Sonora. It's 30,000 hectares, 35 kilometers long, and the 25 kilometers that Sierra Madre goes through it. And we knew we had to have that, Kai. And the reason we had to have it was because the old El Tigre mine, 1903 to 1930, 100 million silver equivalent ounces came out of that at over 2 kilos. And that tenor of grade for that district was something that caught our attention. And we also knew that if we did the drilling, there was a gold halo mineralization around those high-grade silver veins, that we'd deliver 1 million ounces in an open pit bulk tonnage setting. And so we acquired it, and we went to work into 2018, and we did that. But not the reason we acquired the project.
Okay. You've owned the project for a while. Why don't you give us it ties in quite perfectly with your background, your group's background, who you're involved with as well. Give us a bit more history there as well before we start into what's happening right now.
Right, I think that's probably a good idea. So Halifax, not the mining capital of the world to many, but for a long period of time, a group of entrepreneurs down here have been building mines in Mexico. Brad Langell is one of the leaders in that. Brad has Go Gold, an incredible company. My connection to the whole thing is that I'm trained as a securities lawyer. All TSX venture deals, I'm on their national advisory committee, very proud of that. I would have built Go Gold for Brad and got to know Brad very well, and then built Silver Tigre for another big exploration successful gentleman out of Halifax, Dave Duncan. And Dave was a totally different part of the world. He was in Africa with a company called Etruscan, and for 20 years found a bunch of assets, Samara Hill, Yuga, and those assets were sold in about 13 or 14. I wasn't involved with that, by Dave's company, to Endeavour Mining. You would be familiar with them out there in Vancouver. They're still their core assets. And so basically I had the pleasure of building Silver Tigre for Dave, who's still our VPX, and that's sort of my connection to it. But really what we decided to do was long history of Halifax. I had a strong relationship with the technical team that had done all the work down in Mexico, Ramon Luna, for over a decade at that point. And we joined those two technical teams together in Mexico, Canada, and it's been magic. They were who identified El Tigre, and we've acquired it. And I'm very lucky to have that technical team with many mines to their credit in Mexico, developing and producing along with Dave to forward El Tigre. We acquired it. We acquired the public company. We're 80 kilometers from the U.S. border. Our neighbors are we're about 95 kilometers from Silvercrest, maybe 120 kilometers from First Majestic Santa Elena, 40 kilometers from La Caritid Group of Mexico. We're right on that trend. It's a prolific trend. These are all big, low sulfidation epithermal systems. This one's no different. We acquired it. The first thing we did, the whole game is going forward, is the vein extensions. But what I really want to what we did first in the first 2 years, we drilled 15,000 meters, and we delivered a 43,101 resource estimate. It's just the halo around the old El Tigre mine. The silver stayed in the veins. I'm making it very simple here. And that for 100 meters, 50, 60 meters on each side of those veins, we had the gold disseminated out We had many cuts, 120, 130 meters of almost 2 grams per ton gold. That was with the high grade already out of it. We delivered that beautiful underpinned resource. That was always our intention. That took us really into 2018 to get that work done. And we then did some limited exploration. The veins continue 3 or 4 kilometers to the north, and they are open for a kilometer, for multiple kilometers to the south. Where you really need to get, and I wish I had it here, we can't do it, but I want to steer everybody, go to verify.com or the Verify app. The slide deck there presents our project, what we've done. You can go underground, see the old mine, see the resource, but you can see to the north. And the highlights of why we knew we'd chosen right were the last exploration holes we drilled. We stepped out several kilometers on the unmined veins, extensions to the old El Tigre mine. I think the last hole of our program, we only drilled 4 or 5 up there. They all had multi-kilo hits. But, on the Cayley vein, we intersected a meter of 10 kilos, 7.3 of that real silver. And why that was important is, that's exactly what those old timers went down 14 levels, a half a kilometer after at the turn of the century. It was all 2, 3, 4, 5 kilos to maintain it, and they only wanted. They mined less than a meter in the stope. So we see that same high grade. We've drilled holes up there. We can say it 2, 3 kilometers to the north. They're all on Verify. You can see all the drill holes as they pierce the veins. And we can't wait to get back up there with a big drill program. We also stepped out to the south of the mine, 500, 600 meters in the unmined material, the veins, and we drilled a hole there, one hole. I think we had a couple of meters of 10 grams per ton gold. So we're going to fill in that. But the nice part, and this is what people have to understand here, all of these veins outcrop for that whole 5 or 6 kilometers. Actually, you not only see the vein outcropping, but you also see the alteration zone that continues north that allowed us to drill out that vein height of 30, 40, 50, 60 meters wide. So it's really simple exploration for our team. It's kind of paint by numbers. And the holes I'm talking about, they were all, these veins daylight. So that 10 kilo intercept was 50 meters down. And actually, the veins all come together up there. We let that drift in. That was in the Cayley. We let drift into the Protector, and at 70 meters in a separate vein beside it, we had 1.5 meters of over a kilo. So we expect we're going to see lots of those holes up there, and we can't wait to start drilling to the south. But extremely excited to get up to the north where we left off drilling that high grade, super high grade.
Fantastic. And Las Chispas seems to be the poster boy, and everybody wants to follow Las Chispas now, and what Silvercrest has done for obvious reasons. Ultra high grade silver in veins, though, and I haven't seen that before. But ever since Las Chispas came out, all of a sudden, all the companies came out with vein deposits, and for some reason, they all use the same color marking their veins. They're all red veins going through their projects. It's really, really interesting. I think I could point out at least 10 companies that all of a sudden have red veins going through their projects. But I remember talking back in 2016, 17.
We've always had red veins.
No, we were talking in 16, 17, and one thing you mentioned, your project, actually, the vein extension is 5-6 kilometers long, so that's extremely key. One thing as well, Ramon has been working on the project for a long time, and one thing that shows me some confidence in it as well, he agreed to a share for debt transaction before the market actually got hot and before everything happened. Do you think he's regretting now going for shares, or should he have waited till you raised $11 million?
I think he's pretty pleased that he converted for some shares. Really, what we did, look, I'll be very frank. What we did with the asset, we drilled off the resource, and it was almost 18, and nobody cared. We hit 10, imagine it was today. We drilled all of those 4 or 5 holes, a handful of holes. These were just test holes, 3 and 4 kilometers in the vein package. It continues in the same El Tigre formation, and we hit multi kilos and everything. One of them, a meter of 10 kilos, 7.3 of it silver, and nobody cared. So what we did is we pulled our wings in. To be very frank, we're miners. We don't switch to marijuana. Now I know some people made a lot of money in that, but we don't. So we protected. We acquired the asset. We raised $15 million. Almost $16 million at an average price of about 20 cents through 16, 17, and 18 to drill off that resource, to acquire that project, and to understand and map and sample everything to the north and south so we'd be drill ready when the market turned. We did, and what we did second half of 18 and 19, It was boots on the ground. There was no more drilling. I was tired of diluting. We waited for the market to come back. One of those things that we're waiting is Ramon did all that drilling for us late in the program, and I think we owed him about $300,000. He was very patient. He knew we'd dust this thing off when the market turned, and was very agreeable last year to converting that debt to shares. So great vote of confidence from the geological team that's going to be doing the work on it. That they're incented also. So that was exciting, but really not the important part. What you come back to, Cheese Pop. Look, everybody thinks that that exploring in Mexico is it's very difficult. Our Ramon's been working with the group out of Halifax for 25 years. It's a long time. They've found 3 mines, and they built them, and they sold 2 to majors. The last one 2 years ago to Agnico Eagle. Their track record speaks for itself. But our exploration down there has always been the same as everyone's. Eric Fear. Eric has explored in and around the head frame of an old mine from 1903 to 1900 and 1930. That's always been what we do. You find the mines in Mexico, these epithermal systems, under, around the head frames of old Spanish or American mines. The only reason Chispa sat there and El Tigre sat there, these were high-grade silver mines, is the Mexican Revolution, and silver went to a quarter. And they sat for 100 years. And they started to be put back together. Eric, with what he did, incredible, unbelievable, just what a success story. But our epithermal system we're not reinventing the wheel here. People have to know that. This team's been working on large, low sulfidation epithermal systems in Mexico for 25 years. This is cookie cutter. This is the transition zone between the upper and lower volcanics, the El Tigre formation. You can see all that so clearly unverified. We have beautiful modeling of that. And all these veins for that 5 or 6 kilometers of the brownfields we're working on, daylight. So we've drilled the resource around the mine after it was mined. We're hoping that we can go prove there's another one to the north with all the high grades still in it. And early indications are that's what we're looking at. Do we believe that? Yes, we do. Do we have to put 35 or 40,000 meters in this in the next year or so to prove it? For sure. We have the money to do that, so we're excited to get at it.
Now, the market seems to start to believing in it as well. Like, you ran from 4 cents to now close to 60 cents the other day. What an incredible turnaround. I think Stifel GP called you the next Silvercrest. Really interesting to make that analogy, right? So
I wasn't expecting that, and I don't know if it helped me or hurt me in the plan I had on the go at the time. But yes, it's nice when other smart analysts are starting to say that, not me.
No, well, you're using that momentum right now to raise capital, which is really smart, like less dilutive. I think you're raising at 30 cents, which is actually a nice discount to what's going on. So I'm sure you have money thrown at you left and right. Give us an update on the financing and what it's looking at.
Look, this was it was all part of our plan. We got back in November. That's when I saw you, Kai, at San Francisco. We hadn't attended any shows, but we got back, and that was the only one we went to last year. We got back on the mountain last fall, and we hadn't explored there for more than a year. We'd had boots on the ground getting into some underground exploration at it, but now we had to get the roads all ready to go. We had to get the camp ready, and we did all that. We thought the economy was going to roll over in the new year, and we were going to have a good silver market. It's an inframetal as far as we're concerned, but we did not expect what happened in February, March to happen. So we were going to start raising money in the fall and get back drilling. We were punted off the mountain until June 1st. We got back in there June 15th. Quietly, we saw the market really improving, and we had enough money in the bank at that point, about $1 million, to continue our exploration. We were not intending to drill until September. It's rainy season in the Sierra Madre right now. It's 1 foot forward, 4 feet back. You're going to do a 10,000 or 20,000 meter drill program. It's not worth it. And we've drilled, I think Ramon's team has drilled for the group out of Halifax over 1 million meters. So they have a little bit of experience in this over the 25 years. And we got our team back through multiple geologists. We found what's very interesting. You've got to see this unverified. It's incredible. Not only are a handful of drill holes, which are kilometers to the north in these unmined veins, but as we spent 2018 and 19, cheap exploration, we got up there and we found all kinds of small exploration adds, 20, 30, 40 meters, where the old timers were getting to that northern area. That's how there was no drill holes at the old El Tigre mine. They would just drift in and pick up the vein and sample it. We found dozens of these, and we got in and made them safe. We put out some press releases. We got thousands of these samples. You'll see some unverified, super high grade silver. and these are stretched across the entire 3 kilometers. So we spent our time getting ready to do that, and we were back on the ground in June doing that again, because we weren't going to drill until the rain stopped first week of September-ish, second week of September, usually on the mountain there. And really, things started to pick up from then. We started to get eyes on us. My plan was to do a raise with the investment banks in Toronto. One was leading it, especially the charge for us. We would have probably done a small syndicate. And basically, and it was Sprott, I can say that. They've been giving us a lot of good advice, the bankers in Toronto, and it was going to be a bought deal private placement. And that was going to be the plan. And I kept talking and telling the story to smart people that they'd put me in front of, and the stock moved up considerably. When Stifel GMP launched that flash coverage about a week ago, that got a lot more eyes on it, and my stock went to the point where I think that I had to make the decision at that point, was I going to take some money or not? It went a little different way. It ended up not being a bought deal private placement. I was approached about a week ago by, and I think I can say this, we will press release it later, by a group of very strategic institutional type investors. And that's where the offering went. It's not broadly held. It's being closed, and we will announce next week when that's finished, and we'll have our $11 million in the bank. So it's very, very exciting for us. It was more than, I'll be very frank, it was more than I wanted to take. I would guess, and I can tell this, it's only history, we probably would have went out for 6 in a bought deal, private placement. That probably would have went to 8 because the market is so frothy right now. I took a little bit more on this because, our technical team, we sat down when this money was offered, and we could have taken more, taken considerably more. But really what we wanted to do was we de-risked the project. We think that our results are going to greatly increase our valuation when we start to drill. We think that. We still have to do it and deliver in the fall, as drill results have been doing. For some of our peers there. We're not going to release a whole lot of time. We're now loaded for about the first phase will be 15 to 20,000 meters. And we'll have a steady news flow all fall well into next year. But really, we looked at it and we said, sure. And everybody comes with, when your price is up, we'll give you another 30 or 40 or $50 million. But you know what? We've been mining for a long time, and windows open and windows close. So the $11 million really allows us, if nothing else happens, to completely execute our plan and de-risk this project completely. The initial 10,000 I was intending to drill before a second raise has just turned to 35,000 meters. We will be able to delineate and add more to the pit with that. We'll be able to drill the southern extensions, and we'll be able to prove to ourselves and probably to the world, do we have another El Tigre mine sitting on those vein extensions directly to the north in the same formation? So that's really what we did. Took a bit more than I wanted, but feel pretty good about it today.
Based on how the stock is trading, actually, you could have taken a lot more. Seems like a lot of buying is being funneled into the market, which is good to see, because that means there's interest, and $21 silver obviously helps. So there's quite a bit of momentum in the silver space as well. So you said, like, originally you set out to drill 10,000 meters with your $6 million bought deal that you originally had intended. That's what the PowerPoint says on the website as well. So...
Yeah, I haven't changed that yet. I'm going to have to update that.
Right? So like now you're going more towards 15, 20, or you mentioned even earlier in our conversation that you're looking at 35,000 to maybe 40,000 meters of drilling. But that's a phased approach. Is that correct?
Here's how it works. And everybody comes out with their number. And my geologists always make me stay, Dave Duncan and or Ramon, keep me in line. And they say, Glenn, hey, I say, well, I got to put something in the slide deck. What's our program? And they go, okay, put 10,000 meters because you'll have the money for that. But the way it works with us is that the first 2,500 meters tell you something. They tell you, do you need another drill? Do you need to go in a different direction? Should you test this next vein over here? So we will probably still say our first program will be 10,000 meters to see where we are, maybe 15. There's no way we're going to get to drill 35. You've got to get there. That is an amazing. We have the money for it, But we were thinking that the 10,000 meters with 2 drills to the north would take us 100. These holes are all shallow. You should know that first. Most of these holes we're going to drill, it's all daylights up there, are from surface. They're going to be 100, 120 meter holes. The 120, really, when we let the drill run, and you got to look at Verify for this, through maybe the Cayley and the Protector, we'll get 2 cuts of the same vein because they all come together. But from our perspective, we're locked and loaded for 35,000. The first 10,000 meters will be what we're looking at. But what's going to change is, we were going to focus 2 drills on the north. I think you're going to see us now go down, and there'll be a drill to the south for sure on that resource area, because our step out down there, you'll see in Verify, we stepped out 500 meters unmined material to the south, and 1 hole, and we hit almost 2 meters of 10 grams per ton gold. That needs attention. That's going to get added into the resource. There were 2 veins in the resource. You'll see if you manipulate the model, the sites Kelly and the Sui, that we did not drill the halo around. We'll add that in. And I think we will do, this pit, when we did it, was $1,250 gold. We're approaching $2,000 gold. The economics, this is a beautiful starter pit. The first 60% of this is well over $1,000 to get out there on a pit. We're probably going to do some geotechnical drilling around there also, now that we have the money, early. Probably, maybe that may even be early in 2021. Delineate that starter pit, because that's value is going up every day, and maybe even move towards pre-fees. Not what we're focused on. We weren't even going to do that until we took in more money, but we're on the mountain. We might as well do some of that. The north, new exploration and discovery. Is there another El Tigre mine there? And could there be one just sitting connected to the mine at the south? There's definitely extensions there. We just don't know how big that is yet. So that's going to be exciting too.
Fantastic. Let's come back to the cap structure real quick. So you're doing an $11 million placement. Are you going to have that oversubscribed, or are you going to add to it? Like, what's the likelihood of that? Or are you going to draw a line like, no, 11 is enough, no green shoe, no nothing, that's it?
I'd probably share more than I should. I probably drew a couple of lines on the way to 11 that didn't work. So there's going to be no more. That 11 is what we are intending to close, and we will press release that with some information about the private placement next week.
Fantastic.
Once it
Let's
closes.
talk about options real quick and warrants. We're running a bit out of time. We already chatted for 22 minutes. So we're hitting our time limit. But really want to talk about the 20-cent options and the warrants. Are they going to get exercised, and how much cash will you end the year on?
Well, I expect that some of them are being exercised now. I can tell you that people are in the money, so we're seeing especially some of the warrants. There's not a lot of warrants out there. Really, what you're looking at here is our stock options that management and directors have had all right back to the beginning of the company. So a lot of those are 35, 30 cents, 25 cents. So we would expect some of those to be exercised. But really, when we look at the $11 million we have in the account right now, I think there's some exercise, maybe 400,000 or 500,000 of them coming in September. But it really becomes more de minimis to the amount of cash that we have. And look, our plan will be, and I'll not say anything. We think that we're gonna basically really increase our value when the drill starts turning, and we don't think raising capital going forward is going to be an issue. But yes, of course, some of those warrants and options in the money will be exercised.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Glenn, just 20 seconds. Sum up for us the next catalyst. Your channel sampling right now. Drilling starts September. What am I missing? What else? Next 3-6 months? Just a summary.
We have the money to drill 35,000 meters. If we never get another cent, we can do everything we need to do to prove to the world what we think is that we have in those vein extensions and that El Tigre structure, another El Tigre mine to the north where we should have high-grade silver veins, and areas in that El Tigre structure where we're going to get the wide, open, pitable material. We have to prove that, but that's our theory. To the south, we have 500 meter step out with great mineralization. We're definitely going to explore that southern vein extensions of the El Tigre mine also. Who knows? It could be hiding down there.
Fantastic. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us. We got to talk once you start drilling, maybe closer to the first set of drill results coming out, to get an update on what you're seeing out there. It was great catching up. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate that. Leave any feedback below our interview here with Glenn. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. We're also on Spotify and Instagram. And Glenn, thanks for making the time this afternoon, and all the best to you out in Halifax, and we'll talk very soon.
Thanks, Kai. And I steer everybody to Verify. I think they'll really see it when they go there. Thank you very much.